All right, so let's jump into this deep dive all about DJ gear.
Yeah.
Specifically speakers today.
Okay.
And we're going to be pulling from a really lively roundtable discussion we had with some DJs.
Cool.
And have you ever been curious about what kind of gear goes into making these huge parties and events sound so good?
Right.
So we're going to get into all that today.
Yeah, I mean, these DJs that we talked to, they had some pretty strong opinions about their gear.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're the ones that are, on the front lines shaping the sound and the energy of a whole event.
Yeah, and it's a lot more than just like plugging in and pressing play.
Right.
One thing they talked about a lot was this rise of line arrays.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's kind of the hot setup these days. So is that just a trend or is there something more to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, they do look cool, right? They have that sleek, modern look. A lot of venues and event planners are going for.
Right.
But it's not just about the looks. The technology behind these speakers is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
They use all these smaller speaker drivers that are arranged vertically in a line.
Okay.
And that design helps them project sound more evenly over a larger area compared to traditional speakers.
I see.
That usually have a more focused sound beam.
So a wider sweet spot for the audience, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they were saying they're a lot easier to set up and to transport, too, compared to hauling around a ton of big speakers and trying to position them just right,
Yeah.
Speed and efficiency is really important when you're setting up for a gig.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense for the overall sound and logistics. But they also got really into subwoofers.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them love these huge 15-inch and 18-inch subs, and others think it's overkill. So where do you land on that debate?
It's like the right tool for the right job,
Yeah.
Those larger subwoofers, they can definitely deliver that chest-thumping bass that some DJs and audiences just love, especially for bigger outdoor events or genres like EDM, where the low end is just so important.
Yeah, one of the DJs actually said something like, you wouldn't bring a sledgehammer to hang a picture.
Right.
Like implying that these big subs are not always necessary.
Yeah, if you're in a smaller venue, those massive subs could actually hurt the sound.
Yeah.
They could overpower all the other frequencies.
Interesting.
And create a muddy mix.
Okay.
Plus, hauling around all that extra weight and size kind of defeats the purpose of a line array's portability, right?
Totally. And speaking of sound preferences, they went on this whole thing about speaker brands.
Oh, yeah.
And what they look for, and it's like a whole world of personal taste when it comes to what DJs consider good sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They were throwing out all these names like RCF, QSC, JBL-DB technologies.
Yeah. And
every DJ had their own reason for liking one over the other. And that's something I think is important for the listener, too.
Yeah.
What sounds good is really subjective, like picking a favorite music genre.
For sure.
What one person loves, another person might hate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was this whole thing about horniness.
Yeah.
Which made me wonder if we were even still talking about speakers.
Right.
So can you explain that to those of us who don't speak fluent DJs?
Yeah, it's not as it's not as crazy as it sounds.
Okay.
One of the DJs was explaining how some speakers, especially older two-way speakers, which means they have separate drivers for high and low frequencies, can have this really harsh piercing sound in the high end.
Okay.
And they were calling that horniness.
Gotcha.
And it's often because of how the speaker's horn is designed.
Okay.
It's meant to amplify the high frequencies.
Right. So it's about how the high frequencies hit your ears, not something else.
Exactly.
But why does that matter so much to DJs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. DJs are listening to these speakers for hours and hours.
Yeah.
They need a sound that's not going to make their ears tired after a while.
Right.
They need to hear those high frequencies clearly, but not be in pain.
Yeah. So smoother high frequencies are key for preventing ear fatigue.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I remember they had some really strong opinions about buying speakers sight unseen, which honestly I've done with headphones and stuff.
Right.
But it sounds like that's a big no-no.
Yeah, they all said that was a mistake.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to hear speakers in person to really know if they're right for you.
Okay.
No matter how good the specs look online or what the reviews say,
right,
each speaker model is going to sound different
Yeah.
depending on the room and your own personal preferences.
So it's like test driving a car before you buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't buy a car without driving it first, right?
Right.
And they even suggested going to other DJs' gigs or studios.
Oh, wow.
To hear their setups in action.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's like getting a demo in the real world.
Yeah.
Not just in some showroom.
Yeah,
So you can see how those speakers sound in a real environment,
for sure.
which can be different than a controlled environment.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like there's so much to learn from the DJ community.
Yeah.
But beyond speakers, they also got into some of the, the more theatrical elements of DJing.
Right.
Like special effects that can really hype up the crowd.
Yeah, they were talking about everything from sparklers
Mm-hmm.
to CO2 cannons.
Yeah.
Even creating that dancing on a cloud effect with the dry ice.
Okay, so let's break down those effects because they all have their own challenges, right? Like
Right.
sparklers, for example, they still seem to be pretty popular with the crowds,
Yeah.
but they do come with some risks.
Definitely sparklers. They look awesome,
Yeah.
but they make a ton of smoke
Yeah.
and like fine dust particles.
Which can set off fire alarms
Yeah.
or even be hard for people to breathe if they have sensitivity.
So what about that dancing on a cloud effect?
Yeah,
It sounds magical, but I imagine it's tricky to pull off.
it is.
Yeah.
It involves using dry ice,
Okay.
which makes that thick fog that kind of sits low to the ground
Like
that
that.
people can dance on.
Yeah.
But you really got to get the timing and placement right,
Okay.
to get it to look just right.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to think about ventilation,
Oh, yeah.
as that fog takes up the oxygen as it spreads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And also, as the dry ice melts,
Yeah.
it makes condensation,
Okay.
which can make the floor slippery.
Oh, I see.
So safety is a big concern there,
Yeah. There's so much to think about.
right?
And then there's the CO2 cannons, which always get a huge reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
But those can be kind of unpredictable, too.
Yeah, they definitely pack a punch
Yeah.
visually.
Right.
And, just the force of that blast
Yeah.
placement and aiming is so important.
Right.
One of the DJs told a story about, accidentally setting off a cannon too close to the stage
Oh, no.
and almost knocking over the drum kit.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So the lesson there is don't aim for the drummer.
Right, exactly.
Safety first.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt anyone
Yeah.
or break any equipment.
Right.
With those blasts, they're powerful.
Right. And you have to think about the audience, too.
Right.
Like getting blasted in the face with CO2
Yeah.
could be startling
Yeah, for sure.
or even uncomfortable for some people.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a good reminder that even the most exciting effects
Mm-hmm.
need to be used carefully
Right.
with respect for everyone.
Yeah.
But it does seem like manufacturers are getting better
Yeah.
at making gear that's specifically for DJs.
Especially when it comes to portability and versatility.
Yeah.
They were talking about the EV Evolve 8 speaker.
Yeah.
What makes that one so special?
So the Evolve 8 is a great example of
Mhm.
how DJ tech is evolving.
Mm-hmm.
It's compact and portable,
Yeah.
but it's got a lot of power.
Okay.
And they designed it with a lot of really smart features.
Yeah.
Like, for example, it has a battery built in.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use it anywhere, even if there's no power outlets.
So you could literally have a party in the middle of nowhere
Exactly.
with just this one speaker.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
right. It gives DJs a lot of flexibility.
For sure.
And it's also got things like Bluetooth,
Okay.
multiple input options,
Mm-hmm.
even a built-in mixer.
Wow.
So you can control your whole setup from that one unit.
That sounds like a total game changer for DJs that are always on the move
Yeah.
or that need a compact all-in-one solution.
Yeah, exactly.
And they also mentioned that it can even charge your phone,
Right.
which is super practical.
Yeah, those little things that make a difference.
Totally.
They also highlighted that it's really light
Yeah.
and easy to carry,
Yeah.
which is surprising with all those features.
It's pretty amazing.
It makes me think about how much DJing has changed,
Mm-hmm.
even in the last few years.
Right.
There's so much innovation happening.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is because DJs are performing in so many different places now.
Right?
It's not just clubs anymore.
Yeah.
It's weddings,
Yeah.
corporate events, festivals,
Right.
even random pop-up gigs.
Yeah.
So they need gear that can adapt to all those different situations.
And it's not just the gear, it's about knowing how to use it effectively.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to that point about learning from other DJs.
Right. The DJ community has so much knowledge to share.
Yeah.
And if you can tap into that,
Yeah.
it can really save you a lot of time, money, and frustration.
Yeah. It's like having a mentor
Right.
who can help you navigate all the DJ gear out there.
Yeah.
And avoid some of the common mistakes.
Exactly.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
They were talking about how they reach out to other DJs for advice.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, like which brands are reliable,
Yeah.
which speakers work best for certain types of venues,
Mm-hmm.
and even like how to fix problems that come up during a gig.
Yeah, that real world experience is so valuable.
Yeah.
You can't really learn that from a manual or a YouTube video.
Right. It's all about those real life situations.
Yeah.
And they were really emphasizing building relationships with other DJs,
Yeah.
you know, going to industry events,
Mm-hmm.
just being open to learning from people that have been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a real sense of community in the DJ world.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about competition.
No.
It's about supporting each other
Right.
and helping the art form grow.
Exactly.
So what are some of the biggest takeaways you're getting from this so far?
I'm really struck by how much thought and care goes into every part of DJing. You know, picking the right gear,
Mm-hmm.
creating the right atmosphere,
Yeah.
connecting with the audience on an emotional level.
Right. It's not just playing music.
No.
It's creating an experience.
Exactly.
And it's about constantly learning and evolving both the technical skills
Yeah.
and understanding how music and sound can affect people.
Right, like their mood,
Yeah.
energy levels, even their memories of an event.
It's like we're getting a backstage pass to the world of DJing
Right.
and seeing all the thought and effort that goes into creating those amazing moments.
Exactly.
And hopefully this is inspiring our listeners
Yeah.
to pay more attention to the sounds in their own lives, explore different kinds of music,
Right.
appreciate the artists who create these soundscapes that move us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing how they can take all these different pieces, the music, the gear, the effects, and the energy of the crowd, and turn it into one big experience.
It really is like conducting an orchestra, but with sound waves and lights and special effects instead of instruments.
Yeah, and they have to be ready for anything, too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
thinking on their feet and changing things up based on the crowd, the venue, and even like random problems that happen during a live show.
Totally. One DJ was telling this story about how a speaker stopped working right in the middle of his set,
Oh, no.
and he had to figure it out while he was still playing,
Wow.
like seamlessly switching to a different track
Yeah,
while he was fixing the problem behind the scenes.
that's some serious skill.
Yeah, that kind of quick thinking is so important for DJs.
For sure, it's a high-pressure job,
Oh,
but it's clear they love the challenge.
yeah,
They're so passionate about what they do,
totally.
and that passion turns into an amazing experience for everyone there.
There's nothing like seeing a dance floor go wild when a DJ plays the perfect song at the perfect moment. It's
Yeah.
like everyone's energy comes together, you know,
Right.
connected through music.
So what does all this mean for our listener who might not be a DJ,
Right.
but is definitely interested in music and sound?
I think the big takeaway is that sound is important.
Yeah.
It shapes our experiences in ways we don't even realize.
Okay.
Like the music we listen to, the sounds around us every day.
Mm.
Sound can change our mood, our energy, even how we see the world.
It's like we're getting a sneak peek into the world of DJing
Yeah,
and all the work that goes into making those electrifying moments happen.
exactly. And I hope this deep dive has made our listeners want to pay more attention to the sounds in their lives.
Yeah.
You know, try out different types of music and really appreciate the artists who create these soundscapes that we love.
So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I have one last thought.
Okay.
What other things make a DJ set unforgettable?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just the skills, the gear, and the songs?
Right.
Or is there something else?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It makes me think of something one of the DJs said. He said the best DJs aren't just playing music, they're creating a vibe, a feeling, a shared experience that goes beyond the individual tracks.
And on that note, we'll leave you to explore those vibes and create your own sonic adventures.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of DJ gear and the people who bring it to life.